Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. I would like to talk about a certain individual. We'll address who this individual is in a moment. I believe this individual represents an absolute clear and present danger to the children of Scotland. When an individual is obsessed with children, obsessed with talking about children at every available opportunity, is also obsessed about sexuality and likes to talk about sexuality at every available opportunity, and shows a consistent obsession with the sexuality and the sexualization of children, then that should send alarm bells ringing. And the alarm bells should absolutely be ringing, I think, about Maggie Chapman. Maggie Chapman is a Greens MSP. At every available opportunity, she wants to sexualise and talk about the sexualisation of children. Children as young as 8, if not younger, constantly harping on about their rights to be sexualised, their rights to choose how they identify, the constant attacks on what normal people call normal parenting. She does not like the fact that people like her are not allowed anywhere near the raising of children. It upsets her that she cannot get into their tiny minds at very young ages and brainwash them. And I'm going to use the word corrupt them. She dislikes the fact that parents have rights, and she definitely constantly pushes to sexualise the children. There's a word for people like that, and we all know what that word is. But we'll take a look at this article and we'll see what is truly going on in this woman's mind and why she's so obsessed with her mission to sexualise children. Here goes. Now, of course, she's a Green, so we don't expect much from them. And it is sort of typical of the Greens, this let's get in at the kids, let's get the kids, we like the kids, children, all the time, like that. And then she's weird. Look at this, that is not normal. That is not a normal human being. Constantly having to flag up sexuality at all times. It's the only thing that she's got going. She's got no interests about her. There's nothing about her except her own self-obsession with pushing sexuality and gender politics. That is a very worrying sign. People like this, that idea fixe, that obsession, that constant prevalence of sexuality over everything. And thus, while they always constantly wear the flags, they have to constantly push the agenda of gender. And that's what makes them, of course, so absolutely dangerous towards children. The brainwashing and the abuse that happens. So Maggie Chapman slated for bonkers speech. And it isn't bonkers. I'm going to say dangerous, pro-P speech about transgender kids at Holyrood. Not too sure there are too many transgender kids at Holyrood, but we know what they mean. The Greens MSP has been cared to a preacher following a recent Scottish Parliament speech in which she expressed her solidarity with children who are alphabets. Now, we all know the dangers that the clerics have when they're near children, don't they? There's a long history of that. And I don't think that there's too much that should be said anymore. So Maggie Chapman, the Greens MSP, who thinks children as young as 8 should be helped to change gender, is under fire for her latest speech at Holyrood. If you are a parent, make sure you keep her away from your children, and anyone who's like her, keep them away from your children. They are literally, and they have admitted it, coming after your children. And what do we call people who target children? Kicking off the new parliamentary term, Ms Chapman decided to use her time to call for the needs of transgender or non-binary children to be met. However, those most opposed to her and her party's stance, her party's degenerate pro-P stance on children, have dubbed it bonkers. I would actually report it to the police. I think it is now verging on an absolute immediate danger to children with what they are constantly saying. What they are pushing, I think, is is appallingly dangerous. Campaign group Keep Prisons Single Sex challenged the MSP on social media, stating, "What are the specific health needs of non-binary children that are not being met?" Maggie Chapman for Women Scotland said, "Even by her standards, this is bonkers." Anti-Greens and SNP Twitter account Marco Polo said Maggie Chapman is focusing her first speech after recess on transgender and non-binary children. Supposed to be an MSP, but acts like a preacher for Stonewall. She has an obsession completely at odds with the vast majority of the electorate. So it's not just me that sees that she is obsessed with sexualisation of children. Maggie Chapman needs to be kept well away. I would even suggest, that's just my thought, not suggesting otherwise, it's just my thought, my opinion, that Maggie Chapman perhaps ought to be on a register. Certainly, if a grown man in the street was obsessing after children like this, there would certainly be questions to ask, and I don't see just because she's an MSP that should absolve her of being questioned and interrogated, and indeed having every single electronic device she owns being inspected. People like this absolutely need to be on a register. Her speech followed Humza Yousaf's plan for government that claimed to put child poverty high on the agenda, which is not surprising considering his party have created so very much of it. Although it has been compared to copying Nicola Sturgeon's homework. Ms Chapman told MSPs some of those 300,000 children who currently benefit from Scottish child payment will be transgender or non-binary. Many will be gay, lesbian or bisexual. Now, here's an argument. They say, oh, it shouldn't matter if you're lesbian, gay or bisexual. Fine, let's take your argument. It doesn't matter. And if it doesn't matter, why are you obsessing over this? It obviously matters to you. She says she wants them all to grow up in safety with dignity and equality in their health needs. They currently have that. They currently have safety and dignity and all their health needs met. Please do tell me what health needs they haven't currently met. Well, of course, we know exactly what she means. She says that with freedom from cruel and damaging conversion practices, I and the Scottish Greens will never renege on our solidarity with the alphabet people. Now, what she actually means by having medical needs met is that she's all for the mass sterilisation of tens of thousands of children on an industrial scale. Conversion. She talks about conversion. People saying, oh, don't be gay, it's just a phase. What she actually means is the moment they mention anything, it should be off with the ghoulies and get them converted. And that's it. She is a pro-sterilisation, a pro-mass steriliser. And we mentioned a couple of videos ago about the SNP being, National Socialist-led. And now we have the Greens, who are also processing this kind of agenda of the mass sterilisation of particular groups in society in much the same way as went on in the work camps in the 30s. She's all for it. There is a pattern emerging, isn't there? There is an absolute pattern emerging with these people. Quick, mass sterilisation of children, perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. They don't tell you that one of the biggest growing groups at the moment is the reversers, those who have undergone these things and regret it. And they, by far now, outnumber those that are currently going through it. It is a movement that is growing strong. And we need to call these people out for what they are. Degenerate, evil peas who want to mass sterilise children, not for the good of the children, but to push their own despotic, evil agenda of hate. They are self-loathing. These people are self-loathing, and they cannot abide anyone being happy, and they cannot abide the thought that some of these children are not necessarily transgender. And indeed, when you look at the official report from the Tavistock Clinic in London, the official report suggested that 97.5% of all the children that went through those books for gender reassignment, 97% or 97.5% were not gender dysphoric. Goes to show the evil that the likes of Maggie Chapman are pushing, this mass sterilisation. That is what she's calling for when she talks about health needs being met. Maggie Chapman is a degenerate piece of human filth. I'll stop there and I will come up. Parents of children, if your child goes into a classroom and they're flying these flags, remember that those flags they're flying, all these multicoloured flags, are no different from a certain flag that flew in Germany in the 30s. They're the same people behind them. And remember that the people pushing this aren't being open and accepting, because they do not openly accept heterosexuality. They do not openly accept your viewpoints. They only accept their viewpoints. And if you disagree with them, they castigate you. They call you ists and phobes, and they try to cancel you because your views do not align with their views. But they are very much in the minority. And remember, these people aren't nice, accepting people. They are the people pushing for the mass sterilisation of children on an industrial scale. They are the ones who want to get their hands on your children and push their agenda into their minds at a very young age. Brainwashing, degenerate filth. So if your child is in a classroom, walk into it, inspect it, and if that flag is there, demand it is taken down. Demand it. And if they refuse to take it down, pull your child from the school and say, we will not be putting up with gender fascism. We will not be putting up with the mass sterilisation of children. We will not be putting up with a group that hates normality. They are closed-minded. They are dangerous extremists. They are minority who've got very loud, and people need to stand up to them, take the fear out of everything, and tell them, quite literally, to go fuck themselves, because we will win. We are many, they are few. And don't let them anywhere near your children, because this is what they're pushing all the time. Sexualisation of 8-year-olds and younger in order to drive them into their clutches. You have to wonder why they so love children. Touchy-feely fuckers. Stop now. Thank you very much for watching. They are dangerous. If you like what you see in here on the channel, please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and guard your children. Bye.